Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the Content Market Webinars by the ICM. This webinar series, which takes place on the third Wednesday of each month, aims to share insights and experiences from experts in the industry. For this month, we will be covering fact-based entertainment, redefining content consumption with docuseries. I'm Moustafa, your moderator, a producer and creator of TV series and show formats. Recently, I've been working on a docuseries that explores children's experiences during war, focusing on how they see and feel it, without delving into politics or religion. It's all about capturing the emotional and human side of these moments. I'm excited to be here today to dive into the world of documentaries, especially how they are evolving from traditional films into episodic formats and now into more short-form storytelling. To explore this, we will have three industry professionals joining me today who are, and I please ask you to open your cameras and microphones, Mr. Hassan Saeed, a film producer from Qomra, Mr. Eisa Alhabib, content creator from Majarah Media, and Mr. Ihab Hammoud, chairman, owner in Media Plus. Hello, everyone.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Moustafa, for the introduction. Happy to be here.
Thank
Hello,
you.
everyone, and thank you everyone for being here, and thank you, Mustafa, for the introduction.
You're welcome. Do you like to introduce yourselves in a different way, or how would you introduce yourselves? I think I was very brief.
Thank you. Hassan Saeed. I'm a film producer and director from Saudi Arabia. I've been in the industry for almost, I think, 13 or 14 years. Starting from Toronto back in 2011-12 until I moved back in 2018 to Saudi Arabia and joined the film industry here. I've been working on many independent film documentaries, and also narrative stories. Went to film festival, won awards there. And then last 2 years, I joined Qomra. It's a production company and also known for the documentaries and photo library and also commercial. So since I joined them, my life kind of changed because I started to work on a documentary series, and we almost completing the 20 episodes documentary almost this month, and moving to the new series, and then we'll talk about them later. That's it. Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Ihab,
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you, Moustafa. Thank you, the ICM team. I personally been in the business since 1991. I started working in Future Television back in 1992, where my last position was the director of production department. Then in 2005, I moved to NBC network. I worked with Al Arabiya. I was responsible for the non-political programs at the time. And then I moved in 2006 to start my own company, which is in Media Plus. We also have in Media Pro and in Media Sports, which is specialized in the production of television, entertainment television shows, like talk shows, reality shows, docuseries, and that sort of stuff. We've produced lots of known programs. To name a few, I'll just say we've done The X Factor, we've done Arab Idol, we've done shows for NBC, Dubai TV, Abu Dhabi TV, Saudi television, and so on. I'm very happy to be among this nice panel. And again, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you for joining us. Eisa?
Thank you, Moustafa. And I would echo Ihab's words and say it's an honor to join this panel with you guys. My name is Eisa Alhabib, born and raised Kuwaiti, born and raised in the UAE. I've always loved making videos, storytelling ever since I was a kid. But then because I did well in school, I got a scholarship to study medicine in Canada. I spent 7 years of my life trying to be a doctor, but then I realized that was not my passion, and I gave up that dream, and I chose media instead. And I've been doing that for the past 4 years now, 4 to 5 years, as a content creator / media person. Worked with 3 different entities from Government Media Office of UAE, to Kharij Times and now Monify. I've also built my own company, Majarah Media. And I'm a full-time content creator with my over 4.3 million followers total on social media. But yeah, I started a show called Ishrah Li 3 years ago, hit 1 billion views across socials, basically kicked off my career, and now I just explain stuff for a living. That's it.
Welcome everyone. We have rich backgrounds, so I think that will enrich our discussion. To start, I'd love to hear from you, our audience in the chat. Do you prefer long-form docuseries or short-form content? Drop long or short in the comments below. Let's begin with a quick overview. I'll ask the same question for each of our three speakers. Just to have an overview, how does the ideal documentary look like for you? Let's start from Mr. Hassan. Your microphone is muted.
Yes. See, the idea always comes from, the life around us. Sometimes we have these stories that untold, and you pass by them and you ask, what if we come close to this person or to this place and go dig deep inside and find where the story can take us, different places. Even through my journey right now with these with the series that we are producing, and I found so many stories not even related to our films, but they are there. It needs to be, watched, need to be seen from the people. So there's always stories around us, and I think as a filmmaker, you will feel some stories are more important because it's somehow it's related to you. It has some human connection to you as a filmmaker, and you wanna the and this is in terms of documentary filmmaking and making films. Yeah.
What about you, Mr. Ihab?
Okay, there are so many layers in a good documentary. So the ideal documentary for me would be like having a great idea that we can easily pitch and be commissioned for, landing on a very good platform so it can be seen, and of course, making good money out of it and having a good number of audience watching it, talking about it, creating a buzz around it. So uh, that would be the ideal documentary for everyone, I think. And this is what we hope we can sometime reach in the Middle East to that stage.
Thank you. What about you, Mr. Eisa?
Yeah, just to echo what Mr. Hassan and Mr. Ihab said, I agree with everything they said. But coming from a creator point of view, I think because I'm not a documentary filmmaker or anything, but I'm a consumer of documentary, and I think the first episode of any documentary is the most important. If you are able to hook me in from the first episode and I want to continue watching the next episodes, having that first pilot episode be great is the most important, because you might reveal other things in the next episodes that are very interesting, but if you don't make me stay hooked from the first one, I will not watch the series. And you could lose a lot of audiences like this. Just like social media, the first 3 seconds of any video is very important. So in my point of view, having a great first episode that keeps you engaged, you want to keep watching the whole series, and not having it long, many episodes is a great way to do it.
Thank you. What also excites you the most about where docuseries and factual storytelling are heading, or the future? Would you like to start, Mr. Ihab?
Okay, I've asked ChatGPT to tell me which are the stations that are airing most of the documentaries in the Arab world. You'll be shocked to know that definitely on top comes Al Jazeera documentary. Then we have BBC Arabic, DW Arabia, National Geographic, and so on. So you can notice that most of the channels that are airing documentaries are non-Arab. which is a shame because a documentary is a staple item of programs in every channel should have. And it is the perfect opportunity for every filmmaker to tap into the world of television. It doesn't require a big team. Some documentaries do, but I'm saying that it doesn't require a big team. Sometimes it doesn't require a big budget. However, it requires some talent, some good ideas, some good concepts. I think it's time to have some bodies that nourish this type of this genre of films that we want to introduce to the market and let it flourish, because there are so many opportunities and there are so many stories that we can always film and have it placed on the channels in the Arab world.
Thank you. Mr. Hassan, what excites you the most about where documentaries or storytelling is heading?
Uh, what excites me, thank you. What excites me more about it's about eventually where the film will go, okay? How the audience will respond to it. Uh, uh, Documentary production, it's became kind of I wouldn't say new, but it became more popular the last 5 years in Saudi, and many productions start to recognize the importance of making documentaries. One of them, Qomra, and also the film commission, the Red Sea funds. They start to fund documentaries. TV, they always fund documentaries, but they call them as a program, and they are a little bit different in terms of concepts. Uh, yes, I think what excites us to make documentaries already is the stories, and we want to uh, uh, because it's also documentary is also it's not just entertaining. It's more facts. It's more reality. It's knowledge, you know, and spreading this knowledge stories in an internet entertainment form to the public. And we also aiming to our documentaries not just to stay in Saudi. Want them to go around the world. Our stories, and that's what we trying to accomplish. So many things exciting us to make you know and having one thing Ihab said, yani, having great talents to make the documentary is really important. What we are doing right now in our production, we work with a director who works on not just documentaries like the traditional documentaries, without saying channels, but there's some traditional way of making documentaries, but there is also the newest way of making documentaries. We always use, we try to use director that work on narrative films, feature narrative films. They know how to make stories that go smooth. We try to change the style to make the audience feel this is not just a documentary, a traditional documentary where I can go on and what excites us. There's so many things. Yeah.
Thank you. Now let's move to Mr. Isa. So I think you are the part that's heading to the new form of documentaries, if we can call it a new form. What excites you the most about the future of factual storytelling?
Mhm. It's a good question, and I think Ihab and Hassan already talked about it in length. But if I were to add something, I think how do we translate docuseries, documentaries to the younger generation, Gen Z and millennials, through short form content? And I think right now you see this as in podcasts. Podcasts, what is happening right now? The reason why podcasts are kind of like reaching everyone is because it's being translated even to short form through ancillary content, short form, summarized parts and bits of these podcasts. So I think the same thing needs to also happen to documentaries, and that parts of documentaries should be turned into short, bite-sized content and translated to social media. Because right now, as you know, Gen Zs, Gen Alpha, millennials, the most consumed content right now, not just in the internet, but in general across the world, is short form content. Billions, and you're talking about billions of views, people just consuming short form content. And this is not gonna stop. This is not gonna, like, it's not gonna go reverse. It's gonna become less and shorter because the attention span of everyone is becoming shorter. So how do you still maintain, keep this huge bank of knowledge and huge value that documentaries have, and still make that translate for younger audiences and stuff like that? It's a challenge. To be honest, it's not exciting. It's actually a challenge for filmmakers, for documentary filmmakers, how they're gonna be able to do this, because this is how they will reach a wider audience. We cannot just say like, oh, I'm gonna build the documentary and whoever's gonna watch it is gonna watch it. I think this is bad marketing, to be honest. So I think for filmmakers, they need to, once they build a great documentary, they hire a very smart marketing team on how to translate that documentary to short form. And this is what I'm trying to do with my content. And I think a lot of other creators are trying to do. And that's why you have big organizations now hiring content creators for TV, for long form shows, etc. Because these content creators know how to reach younger audiences and keep their attention.
Thank you. Now we'll watch a short trailer or some works of each of our panelists. So please, if you'd like to start, Mr. Ihab. Your
I'm
microphone.
on mute. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
It will take me a second just to share. Replace current share. Okay. There we go. This is our latest productions. It's for Saudi Broadcasting Authority. It's for Saudi One. It's called Jusur 3. It's for their main channel and for Ramadan. It talks about the stories of successful Saudis that are living outside of Saudi Arabia. The good thing about this, it gathers more or less 4 of the elements of a typical documentary, which are the interviews, archival footage, reenactment, and the direct observations and that sort of stuff that will make a documentary. I'll let you see it and we can talk later about it.
عندما رسمت المملكة خطوط الأهداف الكبرى، نسجت أفقاً جديداً لأحلام بناتها وأبنائها. كل حكاية هي جسر مرفوع بدعم المملكة لأبنائها، مرصوف بحب وآمال الأهل ليصلوا من قلب الوطن إلى أبعاد الكون. نبدأ رحلة التعرف إلى سعوديات وسعوديين منتشرين حول العالم. نقف عند أسرار قوتهم، تفوقهم وإنجازاتهم. كونوا معنا في الموسم الثالث من جسور.
I want to take this as an example to say to our audience somehow that one of the elements of success of such a project is the good number of preparation. So we took a long time to prepare for it. And this, any video maker shouldn't compromise, because simply that will make or break the end product, which is the documentary itself. It was quite a challenging project, but we'll talk about that later if you want.
Okay. And now let's move on to Mr. Eisa to watch a short video that he does for his social media. And I'd like also to know, like, what kind of topics perform best on digital space? Are audiences looking for deep investigative stories, or do they prefer fast, like, digestible content?
That's a good question. So before I share the video, I want to preface this by saying the kind of creator I am, I call myself an edutainment content creator, which is, as you know, you combine education and entertainment. And I think right now, not just platforms, but audiences are very thirsty for such content. And working with the Government Media Office of the UAE, they built this whole summit, for example, the 1 Billion Followers Summit that brought in their highnesses and everything. The country itself is investing a lot in content creators for good. This is the new way. This is the way forward of governments of what they're trying to achieve. So I tend to believe that the content I'm building is kind of in alignment with the government of UAE's vision of like content that is entertaining but also provides value. And to answer your question, entertainment content, it's still king in digital media. If you want to get 1 million followers, 1 million views, make something that makes me forget about my day. Funny, entertain, cat videos, etc. But there's still a market now that's being consumed a lot in social media for edutainment content creators. And you see this with many creators such as Joe Hattab, Amar Farouk, the big creators that are combining knowledge and or informative content with entertainment. So let me just show you a video that I recently posted on my platforms. It's basically trying to explain what the difference between ChatGPT and DeepSeek is.
منو افضل شات جي بي تي ولا ديب سيك؟ مع ان الاثنين ذكاء اصطناعي. انا عيسى مهمتي ابحث وادور، تابعني عشان نلقى جواب لكل سؤال. الحقيقه ان شات جي بي تي واحد من افخم مشاريع الذكاء الاصطناعي في العالم، وتم تدريبه على مليارات الكلمات باستخدام احدث الشرائح من نوع نفيديا A100 و H100، وكلف اكثر من 100 مليون دولار. ديب سيك قالوا ما نحتاج المبالغ الخياليه، واستخدموا شرائح نفيديا H800 القديمه اللي حتى الشركات الكبيره ما تفكر فيها، حتى يسوون نموذج R1 اللي يتفوق على النماذج الرائده في اوبن اي اي، وكلفهم المشروع اقل من 6 مليون دولار. والغريب في الموضوع ان ديب سيك صار التطبيق المجاني الاكثر تحميلا في المملكه المتحده والولايات المتحده، الشيء اللي خلى عالم الذكاء الاصطناعي يولع. لكن رغم هذا ما نقدر نقول ان ديب سيك هو الافضل، لانه ما يقدر يجري محادثات غير رسميه وما عنده كميات المعلومات الموجوده في شات جي بي تي، لكن من جهه ثانيه يمتلك بعض الايجابيات مثل التحليل المتقدم للبيانات والبحث العميق. ببساطه الافضل يعتمد على حسب استخدامك. بس الحين تقول لي
And that's it. That's basically it. This is kind of like my kind of content is basically I answer questions, and one of the videos a lot of topics I tackle is AI, tech, weird questions, sometimes very, very random, you can never imagine. But yeah.
Thank you. And now let's watch Mr. Hassan's trailer.
Yeah, before I share the video, I wanted to explain what's the series about. In Qomra, we have different series, but I want to show what Saudi eats. This documentary really kind of made a hit when it released. In Saudi, we have around like many different provinces, different cultures, different even accent, dialect, and also food, dishes. So people, they don't know about what other part of Saudi they eat, and this kind of took them to discover the other cities, other provinces and their cultures, and even the food, which is, part of our daily life. I will share it now and we can watch it together.
So is it a storytelling technique that you use to ensure that the content remains engaging and emotional resonant for viewers, or
I would ask you guys to watch it and then you can tell. Yeah, just let me know is it working?
yes?
نفس 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 فعلا الطبخ نفس نفس طويل نفس لأنه يمتزج بروحك. اللبوس في الليل وفي بحر، أتوقع أنه خاف من ظلمة في الصخرة. ما في أحد يسلمك حياته إنك أنت تسعده أو إنك أنت تسمم.
حب الوطن من الإيمان، وحب الأرض نفسه. أيوة، في علاقة بينك وبين هالأرض هذه، بينك وبين هالنخلة هذه.
تفرح عاملة كأنها مشروع، الأطواق هي مباني، ما بينها هي الشوارع.
أنا لما أجي أطبخ بمشاعر حب، أنا قاعد أحافظ على موروث سعودي.
أبو الوليد مو بيشوي، الوليد ما بيطبخ، الوليد صلح لك حفل.
Yes. Stop sharing. So this is the this was the trailer, and again we as a content creator or production, even traveling to meet these people, and we are learning. We are enjoying the journey. And it's not just about making the documentary itself. Uh, every time I travel to different city, I meet different people and I'm learning from them, and that's what part of the making beauty of making documentaries.
Thank you for sharing that uh, trailer of your work. And now let's dive into our first segment. That's how factual storytelling has changed and how audiences engage with it today. Let's start with Mr. Ihab. Traditionally, documentaries were educational films, but now we see episodic, character-driven storytelling. What do you think has fueled this transformation?
To be honest, I don't think it changing, it's evolving. And the typical documentary style making is still the same from probably 40, 50, 60 years ago till now, if we're talking about the traditional documentaries. And as Isa said, you have to engage your audience. So whatever style you're doing in your documentary, you have to have some ingredients or elements that will attract your audience. Otherwise, it will not work, regardless of how you are treating it. There are so many, we've seen the big explosion in the social media world, which led to an extra generation and additional generation of short video makers, which is amazing. However, let's call it standard. If you come to think about it, the documentaries did not evolve technically as much as a long feature film or as much as game shows or reality shows and that sort of stuff. It always had this structure that it's the factual storytelling, and this is what will keep on having in whatever style we're doing our documentaries. Coming back to where do we see it going, I surely hope that we can have more interest from the commissioners, because definitely the audience would love, if you give them the right content, they would love to consume it, to watch it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hassan, how has the rise of streaming platforms, Netflix, Shahid, YouTube, changed the way docuseries are structured and consumed?
Yeah, I'll answer also the previous question, which is the same. I think Netflix and HBO, that's the same. Netflix, HBO, I would say they came with the new style of making documentaries, uh, especially Netflix. Uh, you know, every time you watch Netflix documentaries, you don't stop. You keep watching the second episode, third, and always there is few elements. I think cinematography. They really focus on some beautiful cinematography. It makes you really wants to enjoy the scene, and then also the other elements. Sometimes they have a reenactment scenes. They are made well done. It feels like you're watching another TV series. Uh, the with all the elements of the quality they have, and the beside, of course, good stories. There are stories also in the if you remember Wild Wild Country or The Last Dance when it came, the style of the editing. That's all attracting because new generation wants to see something new. I think the new wave they add whether Netflix or HBO or also Shahid, they made us as a production companies also to kind of have a good example. That's the good example we have to kind of, and that's sometimes when you pitch your ideas, your new ideas, you come with the references from these channels, because we knew these series they made very very well already. So combining all the recipes together would I think encourage the audience, to watch something. Whoa, this is really well made, you know. Now the differences between these production and our production sometimes I think the difficulties of this goes also to the content itself. I can go more. Yeah, but yeah, that's little answer for now. Yeah.
Thank you. And Mr. Isa, you create short form educational or edutainment content that resonates with today's audience. How do you choose your next topic for your short form factual content? And is there any borders that like you should go here or stop there or
Yes, so social media is a very experimental medium. Sometimes you make videos and they work. You're like, wow, I didn't expect this video to go viral. And then sometimes you make a video, you think, wow, this topic is gonna go viral. I'm sure it's gonna go viral. And then you post it, and then it's the opposite. So that's why we're kind of basically in servants to the algorithm, because the algorithm sometimes it shifts between platforms. It shifts. You never know what videos are gonna do well or not, but there is a strong education. So when I make videos, especially now that I found a format, there is a format that I, as a creator, I follow, which is I know what my format is and what do I do as a creator. I answer questions. So this could be anything. For now, even when a client approaches me and Eisa, we want to do this campaign with you. We want you to highlight this brand. They know what they're dealing with because they know the kind of content I make, and it's very formulaic, let's say, which is I start with a hook, whether it's a question or a statement, sometimes in a location, and then I answer that question, and then I loop the video or whatever. So there's elements that are there always. In terms of the topic really comes, it's random. So I have a team now. I have a content writer. We throw ideas together. Sometimes we want to make content that is more Arabic centric. Sometimes we want to make content that is trendy, like news related. For example, DeepSeek AI. It taps into two things, which is tech and also taps into like the trending news of DeepSeek. So that sometimes we want to make a video that has completely nothing about anything. Like we made a video, why do we have eyebrows? It's like a very random question. And then sometimes we make more scientific videos. And what I've noticed from doing all these types of topics is that when something goes viral, like I have a video that has almost 60 million views from one video, and that video was about gold and why foreigners don't wear gold. And then another video that has also that kind of a lot of views is a story about an Egyptian woman who's a flight attendant. So I've noticed that people care about stories that they resonate with. They're relatable. Gold, because all women want to wear gold and they're interested. The Egyptian stewardess is because her story was so interesting. So that's, there's a lot out there, and there's creators doing so many different things. You just have to find your voice and stick to it. And I believe in repeating what works. So if there is a video that goes viral, I kind of repeat the same video but change the topic a bit. And that's a lot of content creators do this. They repeat the same thing over and over again because it works. And you'd be surprised that you'd get similar to even almost exact the same results.
Thank you. Building on that, Mr. Ihab, about the link between educational and entertainment content. Do you think the line between journalism and entertainment is blurring with the rise of influencer-led docuseries?
Uh, I don't know if it's blurring, honestly. There's a fact that the audience is becoming more educated and more exposed. So it's becoming very, very much challenging for the filmmakers and video creators. So in order to like one part of the documentary is pure journalism. It's like the investigative reporting and that sort of stuff. But sometimes other types are like historians, like when you do about the pharaohs or the Byzantine Empire, and that's or the Ottomans and whatsoever. So it correlates rather than I don't know, what did you call it, journalism and documentaries. So it's very essential to have very good content creators that handle your documentary, because there is the storyline that's not a typical journalism thing.
Thank you. Mr. Hassan, I'd like to know from you, does the content or the information presented in a docuseries, can it be affected by the funding or by the source who commissioned you to produce the documentary, or how do you see that? So you're on mute.
Okay. Do you mean what do you mean the question? Do you mean censorship or?
Censorship and the funding, especially the funding of the docuseries. Does it affect do you change the plans? Do you change the topics sometimes because of the funding, or?
See, we usually, all our documentaries are kind of, it goes in an area that we understand our lines, our lines. We understand the culture, you know. When you, as a filmmaker, as a Saudi filmmaker, you understand where your limit in terms of, you respect the culture, you respect what you are saying, you respect what you're telling in the film. So we never had a issue, because everything we are mentioning, sometimes it's not about the content itself. It's about the direction of the film itself. That's what kind of it will be a question from the identity. Would ask you, this direction you go, it's a different direction that what we needed. But in terms of censorship, I didn't have any questions. Usually, all our topics usually are are open. Their cultures, they are, and also we are Saudis, and we respect our cultures, and we understand how to deal with it, and where we are going. What's the space we have. That's what the way we tell stories.
I asked this question to start a new discussion about funding and ethics that are crucial in documentary production. So I'll go back to Mr. Ihab. What are the risks of spending too much upfront without guaranteed distribution? And have you faced this challenge before, or anything similar?
No one does that. No one funds without guaranteeing distribution. I'm not talking about the Arab world only. I'm talking about the whole world. So if you know about how pilots are being pitched to networks, or concepts are being pitched to networks and channels and platforms, then you know that it's a very risky business. So most of the producers tend to manage financing before moving into production, which is the most business sane way of producing whatever type or genre of TV shows or even media in general. If you've noticed, even the big series that are being produced in the West, like let's say Friends, the most notorious one, was pitched before it got financing from broadcaster, then it went into production. No one takes the risk of putting lots of money and then finding no buyers for it, and then being hit with the loss, to be honest. And that's the most sane way of doing business.
Let's move to Mr. Hassan. Funding a documentary is always a challenge. Should filmmakers secure funding before production through grants, investors, pre-sales, or focus on selling and distribution later? What do you think about this topic?
So if are we talking about feature documentaries or series? If series, I would say no. You will need like a already commissioned in advance. Usually companies like us, when we work with different governmental identities, they already knew us. Okay, they know the quality we are providing, so they have the trust. So it's become more about the idea and the pitch of the idea. All right, before we move on any production, we have everything secured in terms of finances. In terms of feature film, let's talk a little bit about feature film because it's really it's really important. Feature films is a little bit different because most of the filmmakers who make feature documentaries, they are aiming for film festivals. So having like a little scene, shooting a little bit as a pitch to the commission or to any funding source, it's a good idea in terms of feature film, because feature film still you're gonna shoot what, 10 minutes from that, or 15 minutes, 10 minutes, that's doable. But shooting a documentary, like a pitch for a documentary, it's a little bit and I agree with the Ihab. But in TV series, we had some cases in Saudi, and I was part of it with a TV show was last year in Ramadan called Khuyut al-Ma'azib. And I worked with the team in 2019. We filmed the pilot episode. Okay, it was aired on NBC last year, but 2019 we shot in Al-Hassa the pilot episode, and it was really well done. All right, and we had stars in it, so we brought the stars, and to have like Abdul Mohsen An-Namar star in it in the pilot, and then we pitched or the company they pitched the idea to different TV channels, but NBC picked up the project and was aired last year. It depends about the cases, but most of the time, most of the productions they like to secure, especially having specific team to go separately from the company to go shoot that project. It's a little bit risky. It depends, yeah. So yeah, most of the time I would say would secure the finances even before moving forward.
Thank you. Mr. Eisa, some say passion projects should not be about monetization. How do you balance financial sustainability and creative integrity? Or does sponsored or branded content affect audience engagement or the direction of future topics?
Yes, absolutely. Branded content in most cases, tends not to do as well as organic content. So this is just the nature of how people consume content. When I see a video that I feel like, he's selling me something, he's promoting something, oh, there's a brand involved here. As an audience member, this is the how it is right now. I will tend to watch it less. I'll tend to share it less. I'll tend to care less. So what I've done as a content creator is, because last year we had a lot, the Q4 was very busy, a lot of campaigns, a lot of brand deals. So we were posting a lot of branded content. We noticed that the views were dropping. We were not getting as many followers. So we decided this year that we would make sure that every week organic content should always be favored and should be posted weekly at least. But money is money. You can't say no to money. So sometimes you have to be very creative with how you brand something, and that's why telling the best story possible while also promoting something. It's a challenge, but you have to do it, and that's how. But then sometimes the audiences, they understand. They're like, "This is Eisa, is a content creator. This is how he makes money. He needs to promote a brand sometimes here and there, and then I still follow him. I still care about him. So you need to build a community of followers that kind of relate to you, understand you, and then they're loyal to you. Even if you do they will stick by you. And then also working with very high end or actually great brands. For example, when I make a video about a campaign for Dubai Future Foundation or an event for Gitex, etc., which is what I've done. People actually care about these things. They want to know more about these things. They want to, even though I'm selling them something, I'm selling them this product or this campaign, whatever, but they actually care. They actually want to. So choosing the right stories and the right brands.
Thank you, Mr. Ihab. We're back to you. What role do co-productions and international collaborations play in bringing MENA-focused docuseries to a global audience?
Um, the content is king. So we've all watched the rise and fall of the Mexican series, dubbed series in the Arab world, now the rise of the Turkish series, and somehow the Korean series. If the audience wasn't interested, they wouldn't have watched nothing at all. The first challenge that we face with taking our documentaries or docuseries to the international platform is so much that we are focused. I'm not talking about myself, I'm talking in general, that the stories might be too local. So it might not interest a general audience or an international audience. That's why it doesn't have an international appeal. This is on one front. On the other front is the quality of production, let's be honest. So the budgets allocated for the documentary production in the Arab world are so little. And if the content is not strong enough, and at least you can somehow compensate with a higher budget, a better quality, and that sort of stuff. If you don't have neither, then you don't have a chance to go anywhere. How about going to an international audience? So there is an amazing documentary doing very well. It's about a series about the Second World War. There's nothing new about it. People are watching it because they simply took the archival footage, colored it because it's called in colors, and they presented it in an amazing narrative, historical way. So these are the most challenges that we face in taking our documentaries to the international platform. Once we have the proper time, the amazing concept, and of course, the budget, then I don't see any reason why not.
So do you think co-productions is a good or a risky strategy to use to secure funding and distribution?
When you say co-production, what do you mean? You mean the producer and the channel itself?
No, the international co-productions we talked about between two international
I
production
don't think
houses.
the issue is with the module of co-production. Definitely rubbing shoulders with international exposure or someone who is more experienced with you than you will make you learn how to go about the project itself. However, it lies within the whole industry itself. So if you don't have proper opportunities, you don't engage producers to think about more creative international concepts. You don't look for bigger budgets and that sort of stuff. So it's a vicious circle that we live in. There's money, then you produce better quality, you have an international audience. But where does this all start? This is what we need to be discussed.
Thank you. Mr. Hassan, what strategies or tips can you give to rising producers to secure funding and distribution deals for docuseries in today's competitive market?
I keep forgetting the mic. The question is, or the answer would be locally here or internationally? What
If you can give both.
I would first talk locally, okay? first, any new production wants to raise for finances for series, they have to have, let's say, number of documentaries that have been received from the audience, whether on platforms or film festivals. When I say film festival, it's really important because in Saudi we have Red Sea Film Festival, International Film Festival, and Saudi Film Festival, and both of them are great channels for people to showcase their work. And the other way also to have a good team with you, great team. You can see the CV of each part of the production. So having kind of a great team, a great number of films, then you can actually look for your first series, I would say. That's we're talking about moving from documentary feature films or shorts to a series. So you have to show a proof to these identities that you have done this number of films, and they have won awards and they have been recognized from the public, from the audience, whether from the media or from the different channels. So then you can move to series. And now the series will be different ways to approach, whether you have your own ideas, whether in a great proposal, and then, or the opposite, you already have the CV as a company, as a startup company, I would say, the things I said, and then you go to look for what these identities have that they looking for a production company to produce, So that's always but my answer is more about the startups, how they start, from where you start. The trust is really tough, from the big governmental identities is really tough because, if I will trust you in 10 episodes, the budget is you want to make sure that this company is reliable to deliver in a good quality and content, and yeah. So this is my comment. And I would also add something to the previous question, because I like the question that you gave, Ihab, about the distribution. True that we have local stories. Our local stories are sometimes maybe you get lost in understanding them, all right? But sometimes when we watch Korean films or Korean or Chinese content, or anywhere from South Africa or South America, we kind of trying to understand, what's the culture, and I think the channel of distribution, or the way we approach the distributors, the international distributors, it's really important how we pitch our content to them. Especially now we are opening more with China, It's great to have our content going there, and then make them also understand and learn about our cultures, our rich culture. So there's always ways in terms of qualities, yeah, we are always aiming to have the best quality we can in our productions, to make it look, as I said, some cinematic look when we produce. So this is all elements, having the right connection with the distributors internationally also will help, and the way you pitch your series to them would help. Yeah, for us, yeah, we're looking forward to collaborate or to distribute our work internationally. Yeah.
Thank you. Now let's shift to an ethical discussion about the ethics in documentaries, and this is an open discussion, so whoever wants to answer or to give his opinion, it's open. Many docuseries expose hidden truths or misinformation. Have any of you ever faced a moral dilemma while making a documentary or creating the content?
I'll start. We've produced so many genres of television shows, and we've dealt with so many broadcasters. We are not as free as we think we are, but sometimes we have to respect the cultures that we are offering our films to, or the clients we are dealing with, and we have to understand their position. Regardless of the concept that we are producing, simply it's a business transaction. And we have always should be in the wearing the hats and the shoes of the commissioner and the television manager, who probably broadcast to a conservative audience, that he doesn't want to stir issues and fights and that sort of stuff. So why should we do that? So it's his platform, it's his channel. If we're wearing the other hat, that would be a different issue. So no, personally, we are very keen on respecting our clients' relationships and their customs and cultures and the do's and don'ts, to be honest. About ethics should be everywhere, not only in documentaries anyway.
Sure. But if a docuseries challenges your religious or political beliefs, especially through the diversity in our Arab world, should you take it on or decline the project? Whether if it challenges any of your beliefs, whether it is religious, political, or in any other topic.
Personally, knowing me, if it's not culturally or socially acceptable, I will not take it. It's not a money issue anymore.
What about you, Mr. Hassan? Would you take a project even if it was against your beliefs?
See, the belief is really important, and ethics is very important, and not, as you said, not in just documentaries, in all our lives. Sometimes when you are filming documentaries and you have these characters and they talk and they have their own we knew that our content, it's directed, for example, let's say about what Saudi eats, for example. They're talking about the food and they talk about the dishes and how the culture. If one of the character will go out from this topic and wants to give his own kind of speech about something, it's not related to the content, okay? I will not put it on the film because it's not even related to the topic, right? So we're talking about the content, what the content needs, and also respecting the commissioner, and what's the lines, with also respecting the ethics of every content we have. I never had issues with like confronting these type of issues, to be honest. Most of the content and most of actually documentaries we have are cultural. We didn't have any I never come across to answer this such a questions, but definitely we'll keep always like having a documentary with the truth and reality, and what makes it real, when it became real and the documentary, you can see it. You can see the people, like they can the viewer, they can see that, they can feel that the truth in it.
And what about a disclaimer? Is a disclaimer enough for sensitive content, or should filmmakers take further steps? Or not to include any of the sensitive content? What do you think about that?
Well, I'll give Ihab the answer.
Can you repeat the question, Moustafa? I think Hassan, yeah.
Yeah, I said, is a disclaimer enough for sensitive content, or should we take further steps or not include this sensitive content? What do you think about that?
It's not an easy question to answer, to be honest. It depends on the content itself. A disclaimer, if I am somehow related to the content of the documentary, as a disclaimer would do. However, if we're handling such very sensitive issues, probably not. So it's not an easy answer, honestly.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's
Still,
and we haven't honestly come across this type of work, you know. That's why I couldn't give you an answer. Yeah. But
what about
generally, when we work with our stories, there are most of them, you know, what comes from the heart goes to the heart, you know.
what about you, Mr. Eisa? Do you think do you work with sensitive content, or you just shift the topic?
Yes, I used to before when I was doing Ishrah Li, the show, we were tackling sensitive topics before. But to be honest, I chose after that to kind of limit that as much as possible. Because Ishrah Li in the back in the day when we were creating it, we were tackling all the different sects and traditions in the Arab world. So we talked about like Yazidin, Druze, all these people. So when I started doing that more, I realized it was not the goal of me kind of educating people was not being reciprocated, because audiences a lot have so many opinions about this, and you know, us Arabs are very like we're very stubborn with what we believe, and if we feel like there's something different, we tend to fight more than we want to understand. So based on that experience, I realized it was not worth it to do those kind of topics, because first of all, it's not market fit. Brands don't want to work with topics like that. Number two, it causes controversy, al-fadi, we say, like, for no reason. And number three, like, why? Well, I can do topics that are safe and still go viral. So yeah, I'm more aware of the kind of content I want to do now. I learned my lesson the hard way. You do content, you're like, okay, this was not a good content to do, and then you just learn and you keep doing what you feel like. And what I do now is what I enjoy the most, actually.
Thank you, Mr. Ihab. Now let's take a look at what's ahead for fact-based entertainment. I wanted to know from you, how does audience taste in the MENA region differ across the Gulf, Levant, and North Africa? Are the cultural factors influencing docuseries success, or is it hard to?
I'll be more or less more general. Okay, I witnessed the rise of the pan-Arab television stations, where I was working with Future Television at the time. When we started transmitting on satellite, and it was somehow the first interaction the audience had with the channel other than their government-owned and ran television stations. So we saw a very big boom because they were seeing something very new at the time. With the progress of time, this phenomena started to disappear. Why? Because the exposure that all the audience had was becoming wider and wider with the introduction of internet and YouTube and that sort of stuff. And the satellite was becoming easier and easier. So I remember orbit transponder at the time, or receiver, was we paid $10,000 for it. Now you can download for $5 an application on your telephone, and you can watch 1,000 television stations. So somehow the audience became more localized, let's say. Before we saw Arab Idol, now we're seeing Saudi Idol and Iraqi Idol. And I always use this example when we are watching, let's say, I'm sitting in a movie theater in Paris watching a movie, and someone says Beirut. I feel excited because I'm Lebanese, even though they're cursing Beirut, but because this proximity and I have a relationship with Beirut, I feel connected. And this is the same. When you see your neighborhood in a series, you'll enjoy it more than seeing 6th and 11th Street in New York City because of this relationship. Again, I'll tell you that the excitement that the television offers, whether in documentary or in different style of shows, is the how you treat your content and the concept and how it can surpass the locality of the genre you're offering. Like there's always these, I'm gonna say these dating shows. Dating shows is not allowed in Saudi Arabia or in the Emirates on the local channels. However, the audience would enjoy them because it satisfies something that's not there, you know? So it is, so it all depends on what you're offering. However, we tend to go more for the markets and satisfy the bigger audience, which is now the Saudi audience, because of the commercial value the television would be interested in tapping into, because that's the biggest pie of advertising and that sort of stuff, and that's why. So these are my 2 cents concerning this topic.
Thank you, Mr. Hassan. We can see now more 10-minute episodic formats for Ramadan, or even 2 15 shows that run along the 30 days. Is this trend shaping the future of factual entertainment, or what do you think about this trend?
I think this came from with the rise of the platforms. You know, the platforms, they came with Netflix came with the 10 episodes, and it's a quick series you can watch, enjoy, digest, and then you don't have to wait for the long time, you know. And with the platforms also, you are able to pause, you go outside and come back, not like a TV where you have to be stick at home to watch certain channel at certain times. These all trends made the audience also have the selections. They have the taste and the select. You know, I think we are all going through that. Now, Ramadan, for example, as Ramadan coming in 10 days, so we will see many also 10 episode series coming. You know, there is, yes, the 30 episodes format still there, okay, but there is also other like 10 and 10 and 10. And from production point of view, I would say having 10 episodes, it's better in terms of quality, in terms of making the project. You know, the having 30 episodes, yes, it's good, you know, financial, you know, bigger project, but I think having a specific 10 episodes and focusing on that 10 episodes, giving all your qualities in it, and then produce it in a great standards would be benefits for the audience. I personally, and what we are producing right now, they're all 10, 10, 10, 10. Even talk about documentaries, are 10, two seasons, 10, 10. Okay, it's about harvest in Saudi Arabia, and the new one called the Rhythm of the Earth, and إيقاع الأرض. And it's also about, it's a new series we're in the making right now. It's a 10 episodes. It's not 30, okay? So we knew that the audience wants to have, you know, that limit, as we are moving away from the traditional TV where we, as I said, we come at 9 p.m. to watch. Now we select the time, we choose, and yeah. And yeah, that's all what I can say about.
Thank you, Mr. Eisa. What do you think is the next major shift in storytelling? If content keeps getting shorter and shorter, what's beyond these short form videos?
You know, that's a really good question. I think platforms themselves don't even know the answer to that yet. But what I see them trying to do is somehow bring in augmented reality, visual reality, because if you notice Meta and the other platforms such as Snapchat, they're working a lot on these spectacles or these lenses which you like kind of like can record with lenses. I don't know what that means for content. And obviously AI is huge right now. It's affecting all all departments of content from scripting to shooting to editing. Everything is being kind of influenced by AI. But to be honest, what I think is gonna stay there, and it's gonna there no matter what you do, the format changes, whatever, is good stories. If you make really good stories and make really well-made content that people like to enjoy, want to share, that's relatable, that's simple, that my mom can enjoy, my younger brother can enjoy, this is what's gonna keep stay there. And no matter what the format changes, the platforms are gonna change. They're gonna change, switch up everything on the algorithm, but that's gonna stay because that's us as as people. That's why documentaries are so interesting for all of us, is because there's so much value, storytelling, and knowledge you can gain from this, and it's gonna stay no matter what. That's just my opinion, but who am I to say so? Maybe everything is
You're right. I need to add one thing. The rise of the short videos, short documentaries, does not mean that the long ones are dying out. It's a different, completely different audience. Remember that uh, millennials are growing and Gen Z are also growing. They will have families. They will go and watch television with their kids and that sort of stuff. They need to unwind, watch a long series and that sort of stuff. So the habits of viewing is not the same. We have a growing number of audience that is related to their phones that we didn't have before. However, television will still exist in a different form. The delivery is different because simply we're having platforms now. I attend television markets all the time since 30 years ago. And 20 years ago, someone said, "Oh, you'll be out of jobs very soon." But it's not the case. Television still exists. And it's a major item in the every house's furniture. Even for the young ones who don't watch television, they have to have a television in their house or in their room. So it will not kill for the time being. I expect long series of long duration documentaries will still remain.
And will AI-driven interactive or immersive documentaries take over?
For me, to answer, I I'm not sure how it will integrate itself in the documentaries. Uh, it's more of a social interactive kind of media rather than television. We always wanted to have an interactive television shows. That's why we produced the live game shows on televisions. But it's not as effective because of its limited interactivity than the social media. So I'm not quite sure.
From a social media perspective, Mr. Eisa, will AI-driven interactive or immersive documentaries take over? What do you think?
I think there's a huge opportunity for documentaries to translate to social media, and like I said early in the call, turning a great piece of documentary into a short form, small bites, ancillary content. There's a huge market for this, and I think it's already been done in some way. Like I remember back in the day, Snapchat shows when Vice Arabia was very popular and everything like that. We had those Snapchat shows that we would see them for a minute or 2 minutes, and it would be like a short documentary you would see on your phone. Now we don't see that as often now, but it could. There's many opportunities where it could translate. I don't really know much because I'm not a documentary filmmaker myself, but I see the potential for any long format content to turn short because it's being done right now with podcasts, which is a great example.
Thank you. Mr. Hassan, if you had to predict the next evolution of documentaries in the next 5 years, how would you think of that? What do you predict the next evolution will be?
I think there will be more AI generated, I wouldn't say stories, but shapes. Okay, let's say we want to make a documentary about medical field, all right? And we could have all the content. The AI will generate all the, the hospital and look and nurses and all. It will be crazy, I know. Yeah, and I think it will happen. It will happen. Maybe it's happening already, but the thing is still human has to direct it. Still have to give it the direction.
Human
It will,
touch.
and as we see, the quality is getting better and better. It will be closer, but still will not go to the level. I'm talking about now. The example I gave, it's educational and it's technical. Scientist. It's not about something emotional like food or marriage or relationship or all these kind of human interactions. I would say with having something related to science, okay, and it's very directly scientific, and you don't have to have emotions about it. I think it will be very easy to generate a documentary with AI in the future. But still, we will be there. We will be there. We will still make our own stories that very important part in it is emotions, and that's what I think cannot be bitten by I think so far. Inshallah.
Inshallah. Mr. Ihab, if you had the chance to predict the next evolution of docuseries in the next 5 years, how would it be? How do you see it?
To be honest, the platforms opening up to our region is very beneficial to the industry itself, because we're having more opportunities. I didn't want to say clients to pitch to, because we're seeing more opportunities. And when this field grows, the investment in it grows, and any technical improvement that we can have will also be used. I laughed because when Hassan said about the medical thing, I wished we had the AI at the time, because one of the first docu-series that we've done as in Media Plus was a documentary called Your Health. We spent tons of money and time producing the graphics for the documentary. Now you can do it by a click of a mouse. You just punch in a few words and the AI generates everything that you want. I wish we had that luxury at the time. Which is very beneficial, to be honest, and it is really helpful. I'm afraid that the dependence on AI becomes bigger in terms of creativity, which shouldn't be the case. I hire now some of the social media managers, and they always send me the captions of their work generated by AI. I can always tell that it is AI generated. We don't want this. Let's use the AI in a smart way, but not to kill the creativity that we look for in our productions.
Mr. Eisa, any predictions?
I predict that Hassan and Ihab are going to continue to do amazing work, and and we're going to keep learning from them, and basically they will be the trailblazers.
And you'll also be doing great work.
I wanna add something about the documentaries and documentary series. I think there will not be expiry date for the documentaries. Documentaries always it's a document. You documenting era, time. Sometimes I go to documentaries produced in the 80s, not just to learn from that time, just to see their lifestyle, their wardrobe, their accent, their dialogue, what the word they used to use, not just about the topic itself, just to enjoy, that. So I think documentaries, there will no expire date for documentary series ever. Documentaries also been taught in the universities when they have the doctor, or they have something to represent. You will click and show the documentary about this topic, and everybody will discuss it. It has that kind of little bit of part of it educational and part of it history, and social and beyond. So I think there always will be documentaries, and I think will never expires.
Thank you all for your great insights. We already integrated some of the questions from the comments through our discussion. Thank you for everyone who asked anything in the chat box. And also thank you to everyone watching. That's it for the time today. This was an incredible discussion. Thank you everyone for attending, and special thank you to Mr. Hassan, Eisa, and Ihab for joining us today. To our audience, thank you for joining. If you'd like to stay connected, follow the ICM on social media platforms for more industry discussions. In case you didn't watch the full session, a recording of this webinar will be published on the ICM.ae website by next week. The next webinar will be Best of Ramadan 2025, which will stream live on April 23rd. In case you don't know already, the Dubai International Content Market will be taking place from the 4th on the 4th and 5th of November this year. For more information, you can visit their website, the ICM.ae. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe and goodbye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.